Yep, it's Brian from Sprockets and Shafts. I just thought I'd show maybe a couple of quick videos which will come out in different sequences, or maybe as one video, I'm not quite sure yet. A bit of annual maintenance that I'm doing. So my current sort of task is basically to replace new front and rear sprockets and chain. I've got this from KTM OEM, and by the looks of it, I don't know if you can see it, I'll just by the looks of it, it doesn't need sort of riveting. It comes as like one piece, already connected, already secure. So from what I'm working out, I'm going to have to remove the chain guard, the back wheel of course. Because I've got it on the paddock stand on top of this bike lift, I've rested the new chain across the top. I've looped it over this so I don't get caught out once I've got the wheel out. Otherwise, if the chain's on this side, I'm never going to thread it through for obvious reasons. I'm also going to have to remove the foot peg bracket, the rider's one. I'm also going to have to remove the front sprocket carrier guard. And I think that's all I can see from now. Say during that process, I'm also going to replace the Cush drives. The ones that are on there are a little bit worn, to be honest, so give them a little bit of lubrication, and then also the rear brake pads as well, just while all the back wheels off, and I've got everything in pieces. I might as well do the lot, so that's the plan. So yeah, remove the front sprocket carrier guard, remove the rider's foot peg bracket, the whole thing, remove the chain guard, loop this, because I'm doing it this way with the because I'm doing it this way with the rear paddock stand. I have to loop the new chain through it, as you can see, so I don't get caught out once the wheel is off, and then I can pull the old one off and push the new one on in the same method basically. And the Cush drives, like I say, I've said it before, I'll just when I take the sprocket carrier off, I'll replace the Cush drives, just give them a little bit of lubrication, not too much, but just a little bit. So this is a KTM 890 Adventure R 2021, my trusty steed. Absolutely love this bike. I know they've had a bit of bad press with the cams and stuff like that, but touch wood. This bike's done 17,000 miles now, and it's soldering together, so hopefully we'll get another 17,000 miles more out of it. So just to run through the initial tools I'm using just to do these basic strip downs. The front sprocket carrier that which is an aftermarket part, which I've put off, it's a 4mm Allen key for these two, and it's a 6mm Allen key for this one here. You just take that off, like so. Oh, there's a guide. Put that down there. Keep everything. I always keep everything together, so I'll keep the bolts inside. Now this is the rider's left foot peg. This has got to come off, foot peg hanger. So this top bolt here is a 19mm socket, and then two Allen keys or torque 45s, which are just underneath, which is 1 and 2, and then just remembering that actually the gear lever is attached to the back of this, but I'm hoping, well, in fact we'll just double check now. Yeah, so I won't need to remove this if I just gently feed the chain underneath and then through this sort of area. I can sort of come behind it like so. So the bolts are a 4mm Allen key head for the chain guard, 1 and 2. So just moving on to the, I don't know if you can see it there, but the chain guide. This is the old one that's still attached to the bike. I do get a new one that's a part of the OEM sprocket and chain kit. So I'm going to remove it, obviously replace it, and to remove it you need two 8mm socket or a spanner on this side, there, and also the same there. But on the rear there is a 10mm socket, if you can just see it there. Yep, where the ring spanner's on the 10mm nut on the back, so you'll have to obviously hold that at the same time to remove it. I've removed the bolt there, just as a reminder really, just so you keep things in order and you don't forget where they go. All I've done now is the existing bolt and nut I've just stuck through the new chain guide, so when I get round to putting this on eventually I know exactly where it goes. Stage where I need to set the rear wheel off, and then once I've done that I can replace brake pads, Cush drives, sprockets, and then eventually put the wheel back on and guide the chain around. So to do that I'll just use my torque wrench, and it's a, if I remember rightly, I think it's a 32mm, yep, it's a 32mm socket for the KTM 890 Adv R 2021. Stick that on there, just give it a gentle push down, that's it. What I generally do just to get the axle out is just use a little piece of wood like so and just give it a gentle tap. Give it a gentle tap just to knock the axle far enough through where it'll come through the other side, and then I can just sort of grab hold of this and pull it out. So basically now I've just pulled the axle out of the rear wheel, just put it there in a safe place. I'm going to pull the old chain off this rear sprocket. When you've got the chain guard on that goes across the top, it does have a little sort of place for this chain to sit so you don't scratch the rear swing arm, but because I'm changing it all out and I've removed it for this new chain, it's not there to use basically. So yeah, so moving on, I'll just pull this wheel out. I've checked the sort of brake pads, they don't look too bad really, but I think maybe because they've done probably 17,000 miles now, they're probably a little bit contaminated, a bit worn out, so I'm going to replace them anyway. So basically now moving on to a quick and easy job. This is the rear wheel, and basically for those people that don't know what a Cush drive is, this is the rear sprocket carrier. So you remove this, and as you gently pull it out, you'll see these rubber blocks at the back. And then rubber blocks, obviously some have stayed in already, but they come out dead easy. You can do it by, you don't need no tools. But basically, yeah, they're the Cush drive, and they can get worn. They do last for a long time. I think for the price, I just thought, while I'm taking everything else apart, why not replace them? So basically, all we do is remove them like so. Take the blocks out there, so that you can see how easy it is. See, that one's still a little bit sticky. And what I'll do is I'll just give this a good cleaning inside here. Just give this a little clean as well, and then it'll be time for the new ones. Yeah, just give it a little bit of TLC, get rid of any debris. Grease these up with just a thin layer, not too much, and then basically push them in. Next job, before I start delving into the Cush drive and cleaning it all up, I'm going to remove the rear sprocket from its carrier, and to do so that'll be the use of a 13mm spanner, which is what I'm using anyway, and a 45 Torx bit. yeah, and then you just take each 6 nuts and bolts out, and basically place the new one on top, tighten it up, put a bit of Loctite on it. That's what I'm going to do anyway, and then I'll continue to clean it all, put the Cush Drive in with a bit of grease around it, and then move on to replacing the brakes. Once I've got these jobs done, I've got to take the front sprocket off, and then once that's done, I can start putting everything back together. We're getting there, slowly. So I'm just removing the nuts and bolts, sort of almost finger tight. No, that one isn't. But in doing so, I've just been sort of casually looking over the sprocket. That one's not finger tight either, so to get that onto there, I've just been sort of looking at the sprocket basically, and I don't know if you can see there, but if you actually look at the teeth compared to the new one, the old one, if you can see the teeth, they're actually almost bent, aren't they? Looking at these teeth, I mean, that's really bad, I think. And there's me driving around or riding around thinking, bike's a cracker. Not really, Bri, not really. Anyway, we'll continue. There we go. Pair that up again a minute. And then that's it, it just pulls off. Looking at it, there doesn't seem to be a certain, like a locking or a locator pin of any description. It just sort of relies on the nuts and the bolts going through and locating. So pretty simple, straightforward, nothing to catch you out really. So yeah, that's the old one. So again, that was the face, so always keep a sort of mental note of that. I'll get the new sprocket. Yep, the same, so place it over there. That goes on there. So all I'm going to do now is going to put a little bit more Loctite on those. Just a tiny bit, stick them through. Tighten them all up. I'll get the correct torque settings from the manual before I do final tightening, and then I'm just going to sort of clean all this up a little bit, get rid of this debris. So I'll give that a bit of a clean up now. The sprocket's on. I'm actually going to tighten this up when it's on, all back assembled on the wheel and the wheel back on the bike. These need tightening up to 35 Newton meters torque settings. So we're making good progress now. So I've moved on to actually removing the front sprocket, as you can see. So what you do is you've got this washer underneath that sort of like kinks at one end or one side. I think that sort of helps lock it in place. I've got a new one of them anyway, so I'm going to replace it. You don't have to replace it. I think once you've tightened it up, you put the new sprocket on, you tightened it up, I think you just can kink it back over again. Anyway, so basically we take that nut off, which is a 27mm socket, so we'll take that off. Then you've got this splined sort of washer, and then we've got the sprocket. So we just lift that up. I'm going to obviously move this out of the way. See if I can get it off without doing it. There we go. So I'm going to you just slide it off the splined rod. Yeah, and you just basically remove the old sprocket, which I'm not so sure. Let's compare it to the new one. Just put that there. I've got the new one here. I've just put a bit of grease on the new one, not too much. But that's basically it. But I think if we can try and put them side by side, you can see the teeth on the new one is much wider, isn't it? And again, the old one's worn, it's gone thinner, and it's, I'm saying it's bent, but you can see how it's sort of leaning to one side. Each one is leaning just slightly to the left. So yeah, definitely in need of a new one. So we're just going to put this sprocket back on there, like so. I'm going to clean this up, but just for video purposes, I just want you to see that'll be in place. It'll slide further on. Then we'll put the spline sort of washer on, make sure that locates correctly. Once the spline washer's on, the nut will go over the top, and you just tighten it up to the relevant torque settings. So yeah, and then obviously all that will go back, and then you can hook the new chain on. I'm going to take this old chain off, as we've said. And then we can get rid of the old chain out of the way and progress. So as you can see, I've pushed the new sprocket back on correctly. It's all seating, it's pushed back as far as it needs to go. And you can just see the excess grease that I've put on. Now it's time for the sort of splined washer. We'll put that on. Make sure it seats correctly. That's right. So yeah, last but not least, we'll put the nut on. So I've now moved on. I've fed the new chain around the new sprocket. I put the sprocket on. Obviously I'll torque that up at the end. Torque the nut up. I've fed it around the swing arm. The old one's it's hanging on the floor at the moment, so I can't really do anything with it. I've also now torqued up the new chain guide. Well, not torqued it up, sorry, tightened it up. It doesn't need torque setting. So I know I'm sort of to and fro with a few jobs here, but I'm trying to sort of kill a few birds with one stone, shall we call it. So now I've jumped, well, basically now the sprocket carrier guard is on, the new chain's on, I've got the chain guide, or chain guard, sorry, on, the chain guide's on. I've still not tightened that up just yet, but I'm just jumping onto the brakes, the rear brakes. This is a Torx 20, so you just put that into the slight pin there, and just unscrew it. I've slackened it off just for, and I'm just doing this for a little bit of speed really. So you just undo that, you can see the pin coming through, and the brake pads are obviously hinged onto it. Now if you look at the brake pads there, there's still plenty of life left in them, but again, like I said at the start of the video, I think there's probably a little bit of contamination. 17,000 miles down the line. Yeah, I'm not a big breaker as you can see, but so we take this pin out and then we replace the pads. So you just basically pull this pin here all the way out, and then the pads, as you can see, the pads, the pads come out, but they don't look too bad, to be quite honest with you. Plenty of life left on them, but anyway, we'll replace them. Just make sure you push the pins back, or the pistons in the caliper, so you can get the new pads in. So these are the new pads from EBC. Just push them together like that. Pull the pin out slightly. So you hook the front in first, I think. Well, that's the way I do it anyway. And then you just push the pin like so. Maybe a long flat-headed screwdriver, or maybe you've got a special tool for the job. But as you push it in, you just gently, very gently, just twist and separate them. So the front locator bit sort of goes into its recess. Torx 20. You can do this by hand, the first bit. Just gently. That's it. Like that. Don't need a lot of strength behind this here, I'll just say just sort of hand tight. That's it done. Make sure there's enough gap for the disc. So just push the piston back just gently. And that is as quick as it is to do the brake pads. Got the back wheel back in. Axle's not all the way through just yet. Because it's a new chain and sprockets, what I do basically is back off the chain adjuster nuts and the wheel alignment nuts, and I just back them right off as much as I can, and then feed them back in, put the axle through, get it in place, then reposition and realign the wheel, and then tighten them up accordingly for the chain slack that you require, which on these is just located there. And then tension it all up with the right torque settings for the rear axle. I'm good to go. There we go. And then hold on. New pads, new chain, new rear sprocket. The chain guide comes with the OEM kit. Chain guard back on. New front sprocket. Obviously remember to torque these up, this nut here. Remember to torque the back axle up. Foot hanger has to go back on now. And make sure you torque that up to the correct setting as well. Yep, so a few jobs complete today. New sprocket and new chain. New chain guide. Yeah, so that's today's maintenance done with. So front sprocket, rear sprocket, new chain, new Cush drive, new rear brake pads, removal of the rear wheel of course, and then obviously replacement. So the last job to do is obviously torque the rear wheel up, but ensure that you do the correct chain tensioner and rear wheel alignment. And once you've done that, job done, finished. Hope you enjoyed the short video. It's not a complex one, it's just a basic one from my little shed, and hopefully you'll get some tips, or maybe just get a little bit of confidence to have a look over some things yourself. Alright, cheers, thanks.